Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress and welcome to our final 19.2 webinar, What's New in CodeRush, presented by Chief Scientist of the IDE team, Mark Miller, and CodeRush Evangelist, Rory Becker. In today's session, Mark and Rory will show you what's new in CodeRush 19.2 for Visual Studio, CodeRush Server for Azure DevOps, and RushNav for VS Code. This session is being recorded and it will be made available on our DevExpress YouTube channel later today. We will also do a live Q&A at the end of this presentation. Just type your questions in the GoToWebinar control panel at any time throughout the broadcast. All right, thank you so much for joining us. I will now hand things over to Mark and Rory.
Hey, welcome everyone. Rory, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I just want to say thanks for being here. I'm good. Let's get into it. We'll look at the slides here. See what we got coming out here in 19.2. There are three products that the IDE Tools team is working on. RushNav, which is an extension for Visual Studio Code, CodeRush Server, which is an Azure DevOps extension, and CodeRush, which is an extension for Visual Studio. And we'll go into look at what's new in all three of those products here in this webinar.
Okay.
So RushNav is an extension that sits inside of VS Code, and I think the best way in on this thing is to just dive right into the demo. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll go start up. We've got Visual Studio Code right here, and I'm actually going to just go in and install it. So I'm going to go and click on Extensions, and you can actually do this live with me here. And I'm just typing in RushNav. I'm going to grab this right here. I'm going to click on Install. And this is our extension. And there we go. It's enabled. And now we can go. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. That was like, I guess I got to.
As barriers to entry go, that's pretty small.
Yeah, we could force the team to make that faster if you guys want to. If you guys think we're not working hard enough to make that happen. Now that we're in here, I can now hit a shortcut, Control-Alt-N, for example. And then I get a menu of the types of the types and the categories of members I can jump into, as well as instantiations here. I can jump into instantiations here. So I've got my class force out here, and let's just see what we find interesting in here. Let's look at, there's no base types here because it's just all by itself, but let's go into derived types. And over on the left here, you can see, because I hit Control-Alt-N, it popped it up in the new window over here, and I can just click on this and jump to it. And there you can see gravity force extends force right there. So you can see that's what's happening there. Now there's another shortcut that I can also use, which is Control-Alt-P. And if I do that one, it's going to do the same menu, but it's going to bring up, here I'll do derived types this time, and Control-Alt-P, hold on a second. Let's try that one more time. Oh, is it showing up? I'm seeing something change off to the side. Hold on a second. Let me just, let's try another option right here. See, I think I've got how about that? That's what I'm looking for right there. So there is the peek window right there that allows you to peek in and see, for example, in this case, I said instantiations. So we get the same results, but they show up either in the peek window or they show up in the navigation window, depending on which one of those two that you want to use. So kind of cool, right, to be able to go through and go see, check all of your instantiations, your hierarchy, that sort of thing. Let's jump in here one more time here. Base types right here. There we can go. We can see them over there. Let me come over here. You know what I think I might have been doing on this? I think I might have, I've said derived when I was thinking I wanted to go base. I just hit Control-Alt-P. Yeah, I think that it was my fault on the last demo there. It wasn't popping up.
Okay.
It was, and I apologize for that, kids.
But in any case, these are quite useful. So you've got your Control-Alt-N, stands for navigation, and Control-Alt-P for peek, and they're both context-sensitive commands, so they base themselves on where your caret is in the code at the given time, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Fantastic. And then they pop up the relevant piece of UI, which you can use then for navigation as well.
Exactly. And you can close the peek window down when you want to. So that's one of the navigation features that are inside of RushNav. The other piece that we've just added that's new is support for CodeRush Markers. So if I want to come back to this location in the code right here, I can hit Alt-Home, and Alt-Home is going to drop a marker right there in the code for me. And now I can go somewhere else in the code, and when I'm ready to go back, I can hit Escape to go collect it, and it just pushes me back, right back where I was right there, in that place wherever that marker was. I can also
picking up the breadcrumbs going back through where you were.
Exactly. I can also hit Alt-Home on a selection, like here, for example, or maybe I can have even more selected if I want to. Like say I want to do something with the selection, but I want to check something first, or I want to come back and look at it. I can mark selections like this, and I'm just building this stack of important places right here. Same thing here. I'm just hitting Alt-Home, and you can see what it's doing here. It's putting the brackets around the edges of the selection right there and there. And then now when I come back, I can even be over here in another file, hit Escape, and there's my selection selected for me. So I can copy that to the clipboard or cut it if I'm ready to. Hit Escape, come back over to the next one, hit Escape to clear the selection, Escape one more time to get to the last, or the very first selection that I put in the code. So that's something that we can do. And the other thing we added are persistent bookmarks. So if I want to mark a function like maybe the constructor here of the drone class, I can come in here and I can hit Control-Alt-Shift and then a number, like the number 4 here. And there you can see right there, it's going to put that bookmark there on the left, and there's a bookmark right there on the line at the beginning of that piece that I selected, or that I just put the caret at, and that's where the bookmark is. And so if I want to jump to that later, I'm just going to hit Control-Alt and the number. So Control-Alt-Shift plus a number puts a permanent bookmark in the code, and Control-Alt plus a number gets to it. So now Control-Alt-4 is going to jump out to it right there. I can also come over here, click on this piece right here. That's bookmark number 4, and I can say, let's rename that, and we'll call this the drone constructor, like this. And now this is now a part of this is persisted with the solution is probably the best way to say that, so that when I come back into my solution, I bring up my bookmarks. This is still here, and I can just click on that to open it up, and I'm ready to go and work on that code.
That's nice because it gives you all of the bookmarks, but now with the added context that you need. So for, as you say, you start on a constructor. Well, that's all very well and good, but it doesn't tell you what you were thinking, what your intention in making that was. So the ability to rename it and give it that extra context is very useful indeed. And for it to persist session to session is fantastic. Yes,
and it's still, even though I renamed it, it's still Control-Alt-4. So if I hit Control-Alt-4, I'm jumping up to it, and there it is right there. I'm right at it. So, so those are bookmarks. Just a quick summary. Let me get the slides back up here so you can see them. Why do I not see them? There they are right there. Okay. You got the navigation menu. You've got markers, collection. Oh, I forgot to show you swapping markers. So swapping markers is also useful for going through the file. Like say, for example, I'm here in my drone class and I've got left thrust off time, and I want to work with it down below. So maybe I'll copy this to the clipboard right here, and now I'll go down to the location where I want to work with it, and I'll come down here and I'll do something with that code. And then I will swap my current location with the top marker on the stack by holding down Alt plus Shift plus Home, like this. By doing that, that now brings me back there. I can move down one line, copy this to the clipboard right here, whatever this is, then hit Alt-Shift-Home again and come back down, and I now do the second thing I want to do. And then I come back up again, keep moving down like this, go back down to the other one. Yeah.
So you've got a list of things in your first location, and you wish to do something with that list of things in your second location. And what happens is you want to do it iteratively. So you want to pick the first thing off the list, go to your location, do something with it, and then switch back, grab the second, switch back. So it allows you to effectively make a dynamic endpoint to that stack of markers.
Yeah. Now, with regards to which IDE is supported, Joseph's asking this. This is VS Code that I'm in right now for RushNav. In terms of what languages are supported, you're looking at TypeScript and JavaScript for the navigation. The markers should work, and the bookmarks should work in all languages. And so that's the experience that we're expecting you to have there. Okay.
We should also point out that all of these features exist in CodeRush for Visual Studio as well. We're just adding them now to VS Code's RushNav.
That's right. That's right. Okay, and so we've got the markers and we've got persistent bookmarks that can be both numbered and named. So those that's what's new in RushNav. How much does it cost, Rory?
RushNav, it's completely free.
What? I told them $1 million a license.
That message didn't get through, sorry.
Jeez, we've said it's free. Now we're stuck. Okay, it's free. RushNav is free. Give it a try. Take a look at it. See what you think. Let us know. We're putting effort out here in Visual Studio land. I'm sorry, Visual Studio Code, VS Code land, and let us know if you like what we're doing. You know, this is our first step in the water, and we are, you know, one of the things we don't have yet here that is on our list are locator beacons for markers, so you can see them, as well as persisting the relative viewpoint of that dropped location. So there are things that we are still, you know, we want to refine and polish in here, and you know, let us know. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Should we put the effort in that or not? Okay, back to the slides. So that's the demo there. Where can you get it? Well, I showed you that. Whoops, let me go back up. Where can you get it? I showed you that at the very beginning. You just click on the extension button right here, and then you type in RushNav right up in here, and that's how you get it. Okay, kids? Cool. All right, CodeRush Server is next. CodeRush Server is our Azure DevOps implementation of the CodeRush analytics engine, the analytics engine that's part of CodeRush, which is very cool because now in terms of if you're in your build farm, in your build process, you can add CodeRush Server to the pipeline and have it run your test cases, give you code coverage analysis, as well as a summary of diagnostics issues inside of the code. Yeah, not bad. Here's what's new. We've got code analysis diagnostics. So a number of these have been added here. So we've already got a bunch that we've already are shipping. These are the pieces that are new. So local unused variables that can be safely deleted, cleaning up the code, or maybe pointing out problems in the code that maybe a developer can spot. Things that shouldn't be there are often signs of like maybe a copy that's been edited, that sort of thing, or maybe an intention that has not been fulfilled. What else? We got unused or assigned-only variables, which can be replaced with a discard. Redundant field initialization. I actually am guilty of this, Rory. Sometimes I'll do this because I even though I know that it's not doing anything in the code, I like to explicitly come out and say it. So, you know, but this is also, if you want to clean up the code, if you don't like this one is for you. And you can enable or disable all of these in your analysis. So you can just look for the problems that you want to clean up. Type names that don't match the names of the files containing them. I do this in TypeScript all the time because I'm like writing code fast in TypeScript, and I'm often debugging while I'm running, and it's much harder to pull something out into its own separate file at that time for me. So I'll often have files with multiple classes in it, and this analysis can help me in that regard in terms of finding type names that don't match the names of the files that contain them. /r/n, so environment new lines, we can just convert it straight to an environment.newline call, which can clean up the code, make it easier to read, but also make it work in multiple environments as opposed to just the environment that's expecting a carriage return /n.
Yep.
String comparison. So these are useful often if you want to do like a lowercase comparison instead of like just a case sensitive, that sort of thing. And expressions of test string for null or empty, we can replace with a string .is null or empty. So this is analysis. Now you still are going to need CodeRush to make these fixes, or you're going to have to fix them by hand, but this can tell you the pieces that are wrong inside of there. And this one here, which is like, I think really leads to a higher level of code, compose string expressions that can be converted to interpolated strings. Interpolated strings are higher quality because you can translate them.
Yes.
I think more effectively. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to withdraw that statement. Not necessarily interpolated strings. Interpolated strings are easier to read. I'm going to just say that. The translation, I don't think is as. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess you could argue they're easier to translate. I'm going to say that. I'll go back and forth on that. Michael's asking, I think, a question about VS Code. Is it possible to peek the last marked location? No, we don't really have that. You can hit escape. So I'm kind of jumping back over here to VS Code. So the idea is, let's mark this location, but we're not going to jump to it. We just want to peek it. And there's not really a way to do it, but I think, do this. I can hit escape to jump to it, see it. Okay, there's where it is. Drop the marker again, and then return to where I was with a control dash, or is that going to work here? No, it's not. What am I doing? I'm just going forward and backwards. Yeah, that's me.
I think a couple of iterations of swap marker might be the easier way.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's totally it. I like that. I like your thinking on that, Rory. So yeah, just swap marker. So Alt-Shift home and then Alt-Shift home again. That's the easiest way to peek.
Technically, it's not a peek, but again, for a short period of time, not having to change the keys, go back and return to where I was. So it's a nice time efficient sort of way of doing it.
Roy, can you correct that answer in there in the on the record there in the chat in the questions? Answer the questions.
I will do so. Yeah.
You know why? Because you're awesome. That's why you do that. All right, CodeRush Server. I'll show you a quick demo of this, just so you can kind of see it, take a look at what's out there, and we'll get in here. Go out to the CodeRush page. And the CodeRush page has a, Roy, can you mute while you're typing and then unmute when you're done? No worries. This is such a professional. All right, so here's the dashboard, kind of giving us a sense of overall code coverage, our test run result summary, and our diagnostics as well. And so we've got a portion of them that are kind of like hints, and we've got some warnings and errors, that sort of thing. And we have also comparisons against previous runs. And so we can see kind of what's changed since the last time we ran, and to see if we've got we're trending up or down, that sort of thing. So the last runs on this were all zeros right here, since the last time I ran this. So, but we'll just click on, like for example, we'll go into code coverage right here, and I can navigate to those pieces here from this menu here as well. Jump into here, open it up, and now I can see which pieces, which classes, which types are covered, and how covered they are. For example, I can filter from above, like for example, say I only want to see things that are less than 75% filtered, or I can, let me just jump over real quick over here, and we'll jump over I can see the results of test case runs as well, and I can see I've got some ignored cases over here, tests over here, everything else passing. And right over here in terms of code analysis, we can do the same kind of thing. Let me turn off of the grouping, and then we can kind of see everything. Let's turn off the hints, and I've got a couple errors over here. So I've got configure await true is called implicitly, that sort of thing. So I can go take a look at that. I can click on the error number as well, and take a look at what's going on with that error number and read more about it, why I might be wanting to take a look at that. That is CodeRush Server. Okay, and that concludes that pretty quick demo of it. Where can you get it?
Yep, as you're about to say that, I've actually added a link that you're about to show straight into the chat there, so you can click through to exactly what Mark's showing you now. Perfect.
Right there. There's the link right there, CodeRush Server. You can go download it. What? Free again, Rory.
Yeah.
I said this was 2 million.
Oh,
fine.
Whoops.
All right. So this is also free. Take a look at it. Download it. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about this preview. We've been working on it for, I don't know, about a year, I think. And we're interested to know what you think about it. Let us know what you like, what you need, what you want, what we could do better. All right. Excellent. All right, next, CodeRush. So, CodeRush, what's new? We've got some code analysis, code quality improvements, some new refactorings. We've got enhancements and including a UI kind of redesign of code cleanup, code format, code organization UI and options, and we've got code navigation features. So in the area of code analysis, we have the ability to find, and you're going to see some similarities to some of the pieces we've already shown in terms of what's new, right? The cool thing about the what's new for the CodeRush analysis engine is that hits two different products at once. right? When we had the ability to detect unused local variables, that shows up in CodeRush Server and in CodeRush as well. So it makes a lot of sense if you're already using CodeRush and you're using Azure DevOps as well to integrate CodeRush Server into your pipeline, and so that you can exploit the power of both the products at the same time. Local variable can be replaced with discard, and all of these I'm going to go into, or at least maybe not all of these, but some of these I'm going to go into more demos and show them in the code so you can see them. Redundant field initialization, this is the one that I told you about that I'm guilty of sometimes. I do this. That's me. I'm that guy. Type can be moved to separate file. The type name does not correspond to the file name, similar to both of those right here. The difference between these two is that this one is when I have multiple types in one file, and one of those types shares the same name as the file, and the other one does not. And so it's like, okay, well, we'll move the other one that doesn't have the same name as the file to a separate file. Type name does not correspond to the file name is when I've got only one type in the file and the name doesn't match up. And environment new line can be used, and string.compare can be used, and string.is null or empty can be used, and string interpolation. Okay, so there's our analysis, same as what we've seen before. The refactoring is interesting. These are showing up in a bizarre order. We'll take a look at all of these. Yeah. So they've got, basically we've got declare partial class part, inline lambda, remove unused variables, discard variable, remove unused type, and import missing namespaces. I'm going to show you all these right now in a quick demo. Let's go here, and we'll start with this class called automobile, and I'm starting to write down these functions having to do with motion. I've kind of created a drive and a stop and a turn. And it occurs to me that I want to create a partial class here, and I want to kind of divide things up, organize using partial classes, which is valid. I'm going to say you can do that. So what I'm going to do, I want to take signal turn and the other kind of safety members I'm about to write and put those in another partial class. So I'm just going to cut this to the clipboard here. I'm going to put the caret up here on the class declaration up here at the top, and I'm going to choose declare partial class part. And I'm going to do that. It's going to create a new file for me. I'm going to paste in the piece that I want right there, and I'm essentially done. So I can rename this if I want to. I usually like to have my partial classes. I don't do these a lot, Rory, but when I do, I like to give them really good names, like automobile.safety, something along those lines. So I might come over here and say, this is automobile.safety.cs, like that.
Something that helps you understand why you wanted a partial class in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And this one might over here, I might call automobile.motion. Motion.cs, something along those lines. I might do that, or I might leave the main one, with just automobile CS. So I can do either one of those two things there. We've got inline delegate. So here I've got driver seat buckled used as a delegate here, and I've got some code inside of there. If I wanted to inline that, put it right here. I can just come in here, hit the CodeRush key, choose inline lambda, and there it is. It's built it for me. Okay. Nice. Over here, I'm calling this utils.isNumber. Let's hit the tab key. Use CodeRush's tab to next reference feature to get inside of that. Here, I've got this class called utils, and look at me, Rory. I was thinking I'd be super organized by having number utils in its own subclass. But now I realize how ridiculous that idea is. I had a lot of ambition when I started, and now I want to back the whole thing up. So I'm going to use a CodeRush feature that we've had for a while called inline method and delete. I'm just going to inline the method into here like this, and now I've got this double try parse. It's just trying to see if it's a number or not. And I've got over here, I've got this result which I don't really use. And I can come over here, hit the CodeRush key, and now choose discard result. And you can see in the preview what's going to happen here. It's going to take that double and it's going to replace it with the discard variable right there. And so I'll just do that, choose discard result, and just cleans up a little bit. It shows me, it indicates that I don't need to use that element, that type. I'm not going to use that variable.
We're using a function that has this extra piece, but in this particular case, we just don't need it, and it's a deliberate act that we are not using it.
Right. Exactly. Excuse me, getting a drink of water right there. Let's jump over here. The last thing I want to show is this cool feature called import missing namespaces. And it's really good if you like take a bunch of code and you paste it in, but you don't have your using statements up here at the top. Now, the old way of adding the using statements might be something like this. Hit the CodeRush key here and choose using systems collection generic. Like I'll do that. And then I'm like, okay. And then, oh, what's next? Down here, hit it again, using system. I'm just going to do this one time down here on console. You get the idea. Use
quite a bit of time doing that though in a large enough piece of code that you've pasted.
Yeah. So what I want to do instead is I'm just going to go up here to the, I can either select all the code or I can go to the parenting block and put the character on the parenting block. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm putting the caret right here on the word public. I'm going to hit the CodeRush key. And now instead of using this one, I'm going to skip down to import missing namespaces. And CodeRush is going to take a look at the block of code and bring in everything that it needs to make that compile. So that's nice. What's going on there. Okay. So, so that I think, did I do it? Did I get them all? I think I got most of them. That's the demonstration of the new refactorings. There's your demo. Code cleanup and code format. So we've got a new user interface. The most significant thing that we've done here is we've organized the providers here. So by category. So you can come in there, you can see them. The other piece that we've added here is the ability to independently decide if you want to apply it on the action, which means I'm explicitly saying clean up this file.
Yep.
Right? I'm invoking a code cleanup.
Choose,
or
fix my stuff.
Yeah, or do you want to apply it on a save, right? Which is kind of interesting. So I could do that, for example, if I want to look at somebody else's code and work on it, and then when I save it, it's going to go clean it up and match the file format, but I don't really want to worry about it while I'm working on it. So that's an example of something that we can do there. So improved organized user interface, optionally clean automatically on save. So we've got that for you. Organized members, you can wrap to distinct groups in regions. So I can take in a distinct group, and a distinct group is how what I've decided is distinct. So I might say like my private methods, for example, is a distinct group. And so I can put that group in a region, for example, and something along those lines. I can also find and organize explicitly implemented interface members. So I can do that as well. Let's see what else we've got in here. New rule priority options. So the rule priority, whoops, hold on, right here. So I can come in and I can specify what the priority of the rule is. And so the rule will run before, all the high priority ones will run first, then the normal, then the low priority ones. So we can set up rules and define them to be high, low, or normal, and then we'll essentially run them in the order that you see here after sorting by priority. New code formatting options. So we've got some options that have to do with indentation. Here you can see what's going on here with some of these options. We say, do we want our regions starting at the beginning, or do we want them lined up here like this? And we have options for comments, region directives, conditional compilation, and other directives as well. So those options are in there. And we have options for spacing, indentation, blank lines, and XML doc comments. So new custom options there. If you had asked for anything, we tend to be pretty responsive in this area. So if there's something that our formatting is not doing that you want it to do, you know, ask us a question. Chances are somebody else wants it as well, and we'll implement it. Okay. Code navigation. So we've got some new features inside of CodePlaces. We've got support for JavaScript and TypeScript, as well as VB and C#. So we've added essentially this group over here. We've got a favorites tab as well. Favorites tab is right there, and you can add your favorites to it, which I'm liking. We also have Alt-click to navigate to the member body. So normally when you click on it, you go to the declaration. So your caret is going to jump up like right about here, right there. Right about there. And if you alt-click, your caret's going to come in here instead. So it's just a way to kind of save yourself a little bit of time if you want to. Do you want to get right into the body, get past the declaration, whatever that is. And we've got new sorting options as well. I think I might show you those. And also, this is the big deal right here, improved performance for large files. So performance is I'm pretty happy with it. I'm using it on a pretty large project, and I'm not noticing any perf issues with regards to this feature. So I'm liking the work that the team did on that. Here, let's show you a demo of that. I'm going to actually go to real code. This is code. I've got a couple projects here that I am working on with as part of the live dog fooding that we do for CodeRush. We live dog food CodeRush 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Rory's with me, so you know it's a professional show. And we are essentially writing code and creating a large application. We've done it from scratch. Been working on it for about a year. It's got special effects in it. It's got TypeScript, JavaScript. It's got C#, WPF, and we're working on it, and it's getting big. And one of the features we use is inside of it is CodePlaces. And so we can take a look at some of these right here. So here's my file right here, and let's look at the sorting options first. I'm just going to click this button right here, and that's going to bring up my CodePlaces options. And here's where my new sorting options are. If I choose as is, that's just going to give me the items in the
order in the file, yeah.
Exactly, in the natural order, the exact same order they're declared in. I can sort them by name. For example, let's just do that. We'll click OK, and we'll come and take a look over here. And
remember that this is not sorting your code. This is the presentation of CodePlaces to you. So you're not going to cause any source issues with your colleagues that you're editing things with. This is to help you understand the code that you're looking at.
Right. And so here you can see that I've got these pieces that are coming up here in an alphabetical order. I can come in, sort CodePlaces by kind and then by name, or by accessibility, then kind and then by name. So I can have my, for example, private members listed up at the top and public down at the bottom, that sort of thing, or by kind, accessibility, then by name. So I can say, well, let's put all my methods together and then sort them by accessibility, that sort of thing. So I've got some nice sorting options right in here. And let's see what else. Let's look at the alt jump to piece right here. So let's go, we'll go to our draw function, and if I alt click on draw, it's now putting me here, right there, instead of if I just click on draw, for example, it puts me up at the top. So it's, I see here it saves me one line, not a big deal, but it is a way if I want to get right past, especially if I've got, you know, something that looks more like, here, let's do it. Let's do this right here.
Yeah, because there are all manner of different coding standards out there, styles and what have you, and you can have a very much more elongated version of this depending on the code that you're looking at, and you just know that alt-click will now get you right into the meat of the method in question, and you're just ready to go.
Exactly. So now I'm clicking on it, or I'm alt-clicking on it. Clicking, alt-clicking, that's what's going on there. Also over here, I've got favorites, right? So I've created different favorites to help me when I open up this project to get to pieces that I frequently need to change. For example, here's one that I go back and forth on changing depending on what I'm working on. Whoops, brought up the test runner. I don't want to do that. CodePlaces is here. I can dock. If you haven't seen CodePlaces before, I can dock it left or right if I want to, and have it always accessible with this bar if I choose to do that, if I want to do that. So I've just got these pieces out here. That's this one project. I've got a second project that we've been working on as well with CodePlaces, and here we can just come over here. I think I've got over here a couple pieces as well. I've got shortcut section as well. I've got functions and methods that are all over the place in this project, but they're related. And when I find myself needing to debug, I can come over here, click on these pieces, or alt-click on them if I want to go right to them. Also, similarly, I have, let's go actually over into the what's new one. I was working on this recently to prep. If we go, whoops, hit the test runner again, sorry, right here, you can go, here's my global history, and you can see the different pieces that I've worked on globally. If I'm interested in that, right, I want to go take a look at, wait, where was I working on, that sort of thing, and go jump to
That's
those
particularly useful as well, because you can be spelunking around in the code using all the navigational tools, and you can think, what was that one thing? I'm sure I saw it just recently, and have a quick look effectively at the breadcrumb trail you've been leaving, even without any markers that you might have put down. And you can go back and look and say, that's where it was, and you can jump quickly to it easily enough.
Yeah. Michael's asking, do we also have support for Angular markup parts of TypeScript? Michael, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to have to research that and get back to you on that. Let's get, can you give him give him my email address in the response, Rory? Can you do that?
Certainly, yeah.
And then Michael, send me an email directly, and I'll get you a direct follow-up answer to that question. I'm not sure the answer to that. All right, back to the slides. All right, so more resources. Where can you get more resources on CodeRush? Well, we said this before last time. I kept this in the slides for this one. So the 19.1, I said, hey, go into the CodeRush setup wizard. That is a great getting started wizard for CodeRush. So it's in the CodeRush menu, choose Setup Wizard. You might have your CodeRush menu under the extensions menu, depending if you're working on what version of Visual Studio and what options you have selected. You might have to go Extensions CodeRush and then choose it. But once you bring up the Setup Wizard, hold on, it came up on my left monitor. Here it is right here. Lots of great visual explanation of key important features that we think you're going to want to enable, but you might not as well. So you get a quick explanation of it. So this is a great explanation of some important features that are really useful if you're new to CodeRush. Also really useful if you're installing CodeRush on a brand new machine and you're not copying your settings over. You just want to quickly go in and just enable or disable the features that you're familiar with. So really powerful there. Also, the CodeRush Feature of the Week series. Rory, you got a in the chat room link for this, buddy, right here, or do you want me to do that? I'm not sure if Rory muted himself or not.
Sorry, Mark, you're entirely correct. I did mute myself. We've got a couple of links, in fact, going in.
Okay, cool.
The first is to where to get CodeRush and Visual Studio Marketplace and our Feature of the Week playlist, as you've just been indicating.
There it is right there. Excellent. Thanks, Rory, for that. So here's our Feature of the Week playlist. We got 55 videos. That is more than a year's worth of weekly features of CodeRush that you can learn about. Pretty cool stuff. Also, you know what I want to do? I want to show you something we're working on for the next. So we release CodeRush every 30 days. We put a new version of CodeRush out. I'm in this method called Activate Shortcut. It's kind of a big method right here. I want to show you a new feature that we're working on. We've kind of got a portion of it, but we're working on improving it, making it even better. But just to emphasize this every 30-day kind of thing going on. I'm using selection increase. Watch what happens as it gets bigger and one more time bigger. So it's so big it's off screen. Notice what's happening up at the top of the screen right up here. We are now showing you, right, the top line number on the screen is like about 700 that I see completely right here. We're showing you now the top of the selection right here. And we're showing you how the pieces line up. We're getting the line numbers in here. Like, look at this. The only thing we haven't done yet that I'm like, we're going to do is we're going to create a shadow underneath this shape. And notice also this little squiggly underline, which is the graphic, it's a graphic symbol for continuation, you know, of information, right? So we're using these cool little, you know, graphic conventions, or I don't know if I want to say cool little, but definitely graphic conventions to show you how to do this. If I continue to increase, notice what it's showing me now. Now I'm at the beginning of Activate Shortcut. And I can see down here I'm at the end of it, right? So now when I'm doing large selections, I don't have to guess anymore where I am, right? I can now, or I don't have to scroll anymore to see it, right? I can now go grab it. That's something we're working on right now for the next 30-day releases as an improvement of the UI. So those are things that we're doing. Oh, there's one more I didn't show you. That's new that was not on my slides. I'll show it now though so you can see it, so see what's going on here. Let's say I'm just going to do this and change this like first role title like that. And now I've done that change. I'm going to come back in, duplicate the line again. And now look what's happening here, right? So this has always been happening with this feature, duplicate line, where we see you make a change. We try to anticipate that next time, okay? But now what we've done is we've put, there's a little underline underneath it. If I hit enter here on this, well, the problem is we've got a, hold on, let me, I'm going to just quickly declare this. And so we can get rid of the red squiggly underline so you can see the UI I want to show you here on this. So, oops. So we'll come back over here. I'm going to duplicate the line one more time. Here we go. This is the UI I want to show you. So right there, this is underlined. If I right-click this, once this is underlined, I now have a new option that says stop replacing second with first in this file. So what happens is as I'm working with a file, CodeRush watches the changes I make when I use duplicate line. So if I change X to Y and then Y to Z, or if I change an enum element like vanilla to chocolate and then chocolate to strawberry, it then starts to figure out what I want to do with those things and make suggestions. If you don't like the suggestions, you can now right-click and say stop replacing this piece with that. And once I've done that, it does two things. One is it reverses that change, so it's not there anymore. And now, from now on, when I go in and make the change on here and I do duplicate line, it now no longer makes that change for me. So
nice.
kind of a cool thing there. Let me go in and let me go in and go find my first role. Where was the oh, it's somewhere down here. First role title. Let's go get rid of that because this is code I want to actually do something with. So feature of the week, live streaming. So check this out. If you we do this and I forget
Tuesday,
what time.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, in the morning Pacific time. Like I think it's around. I think it's around like 9 a.m. Pacific time, roughly. It's plus or minus an hour with the change in time. I'm not sure what it is. Rory, you might be able to look that up before the end to tell us the exact time. But we do this Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can also might just tune in and do it while you work, right? Where you're kind of just, have us in the background. You can ask us CodeRush questions live on that during this time. We answer them live. You also, because we're dog fooding, we might actually see a bug, or we might need make a feature request. Like, for example, this feature that I just showed you that's coming out next time. This one right here, it happened live on the show where I spec'd this out and essentially created a link to that show segment for the devs and gave that to them. By the way, if you don't have time to see it, but you want to watch it and tune in later, you can still go out here at twitch.tv/CodeRush and look at past episodes. Watch us live dog food the product 3 times a week. Cool stuff. Also, if you've got folks that want a copy of CodeRush and they don't have one yet, or if you want a copy of CodeRush and don't have one yet, follow on that and show up live, and you can get a free copy of CodeRush. And the CodeRush shortcut. Did you get a link out there in the chat room for this one?
I can get a link out. So one for the Twitch stream already out there. I will just quickly drop the cheat sheet one in. There we go.
Yeah, and this kit is really good too. Actually, let me zoom in with the a better so we get higher quality. This is great for folks, especially this section that starts here, CodeRush templates. You want to start learning what you can do with the templates and how you can write code really, really fast. That can help you out. So yeah, all kinds of questions. You have a CodeRush bug, you got a CodeRush feature request, you got a CodeRush how-to question. You can show up live 3 days a week and get your instant answers to your question. And then what else? Where you can get it? Right there, you can go get it. You got a link to this puppy as well on the
CodeRush on the Visual Studio Marketplace a little earlier in the stream. I'll throw it in again just for convenience.
There it is right there. And the download manager from DevExpress, you can download it as well.
Yes.
Both of those things that you can get there. So that's CodeRush. Check it out. We got over 100,000 installs out there. We got an average rating of 4.5. If you like it, please don't hesitate to review. And here's the review link out here. Do you have that review link, Rory? Did I give that to you?
I do not have that one.
Let me throw it out there. I'm going to throw it out in the chat room right now. There it is right there. So if you like CodeRush, you want to let the world know that you like it, go ahead and send it out there. And there you go. People say things like much less resource usage than competitors. That is consistent with what our intentions are. Yes. And that's it. I want to say thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us through this. Roy, thanks so much.
My
Amanda,
pleasure.
Thank you, Amanda, for being so professional. Did I miss any questions, Rory? Do you see any that I missed?
We have one from one of the attendees who's left who was asking about installation, but it wasn't very clear which of the products he was hoping to get information about.
I think it's James, and he said, disregard the question, please. I got confused when Mark said download, and yet this is a VS Online extension.
Okay,
so he's talking about CodeRush Server, I think. I think that was it. So I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right. Kids, thanks so much. Let us know how we can be better for you. Our whole goal, our whole job is to make things that you guys like. That's it.
Yes.
Nothing else. I use VS Code for React.js, Golang, and HTML. How can CodeRush help? Can CodeRush help with debugging? No, Joseph, not yet in terms of VS Code. But we are, right now in VS Code, you've got RushNav as an option. I showed that at the beginning. I can just quickly show it again right now. I just came in to get to it. I came in here, typed in RushNav. There it is, and I hit install. Right now it's installed, so there's no install button. But this helps you with navigation. You can read about what it gives you here, or watch the start of the webinar again one more time when we publish it. But debugging, we don't have help with debugging yet, Joseph, but we do have a killer debugging feature in Visual Studio, and we are responsive to demand. So if demand increases, we may bump up the debug visualizer to our Visual Studio, to our VS Code, in our VS Code backlog, so that we work on that next. I think that right now we've got there's a couple killer features. I think RushNav is going to get tabbed to next reference soon. That's a killer feature from a usability standpoint.
Feature.
Yeah, and then we're also looking at putting images into as well into VS Code, just like we have them inside of our already in here. In fact, I use these, by the way, over the weekend. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it's called Spellbook here. And I was doing some UI work in Spellbook, and I had to figure out the positions of everything. Oh, wait, it was a Spellbook? No, I thought it was Spellbook. I had these. Spellbook. Clearly, apparently not. Now I guess I'm not going to be able to find it as fast as I thought I was going to be able to do it. All right. Well, I used them this morning, but it's not in this file. So at any rate, that's, I was using that. And I'm like totally like, I thought for sure that was the file I put them in. Here it is. Well, here's one right here. This is not the one I put in, but here's an example right here. Yeah. And so here's where I've got a very complicated function called draw cropped by index, which takes, something like 10 parameters. And I wanted to show visually what each parameter was. And so I just went to the documentation, copied it, pasted it in. This is something that I am like encouraging the team to be able to support, because I want to be able to have it look the same both inside of Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. And with that, I'm going to say, Amanda, that was not bad. You guys were all scared when I started, as they should be.
If people joined us on
Thursday.
There's
some tech problems.
Wednesday.
I will concede there were a couple tech problems in there.
But everything worked out great today.
It wasn't too bad.
No. All right, everybody. Like I mentioned before, this webinar will be made available later on our DevExpress YouTube channel. And if you missed any of our other 19.2 launch webinars from last week, they are all posted on the YouTube channel. I have posted that link in the chat box, and we will send a follow-up email to everyone that registered with links to each webinar, so keep an eye out for that as well.
Here it is. That is it. Wait, yes. I have to interrupt you. Look at this. I couldn't find it because it was collapsed, right, like that. I just have to show you. This is what I was using, and I was using this. It was incredibly useful because I was saying, well, here's the height from here to here, and here's this variable right here, this height. And so I'm just basically showing what the pieces are of the UI, so when I come back in and maintain this later, I can see what's going on here and how I'm building the spellbook, for example.
It's also really easy to find a piece of code that you were working on and have that sort of cognitive connection with what you were doing with the visceral image in front of you.
Right. It is. It totally is. Providing I don't do this like a goofball.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember doing that. But anyway. All right. Thanks so much, Amanda. Thanks, everybody.
All right. That's it for this one. Thanks to Mark and Rory. Thank you for joining us. And of course, thank you for choosing DevExpress. Bye-bye.